Among remarkable men, Byron Janis is a musician who was willing not just to get informed and involved in a political matter like Cuba, but at certain risk and danger to himself.
His whole life, whenever he's gone to someplace, it isn't to take away from it, it's to give into it.
You know, Byron's love for the people of any country, especially Cuba, has driven him to seek every opportunity to play there. It's tremendously important to him.
He was much adored there, and he was the right person to have played as the last artist before the outburst of the revolution. He was also the first artist back to Cuba.
Cuba was in Santiago, which was the birthplace of Fidel Castro. And I noticed walking from the hotel, which was just across the square, the auditorium was, that there were policemen all over the place with machine guns. Afterwards, there was a reception for me, and I said, what are all these people? Who are all these soldiers? What's going on? Well, those are Batista's men. They're trying to prevent our savior, Fidel Castro, from coming down from the hills. I went upstairs to the hotel, and I got up very early, took a plane from Santiago to Havana and Havana to New York. When I got to New York, I saw the newspaper headlines. Castro comes down from the hills of Santiago and is heading towards Havana.
People were saying, this is significant, this is scary.
Cuba had been painted as an ogre, as the enemy. People were frightened of the word communism.
Literally days after the U-2 incident, Byron Janis was in Russia. The State Department had requested that he go, an indication of how nervous the world was at that point with the U-2 making things even worse. And I guess they thought this is the man to perhaps heal some wounds with the well-known thought music is an international language.
When I came out on stage, there was no applause, and what there was were shouts. You too, you too. And what they were talking about was they had just shot down the U-2, which was a spy plane. The propaganda about the U.S. was horrible, vitriolic at that time. And by the intermission, it was apparent that I was having a lot of success. Roland Thompson, our ambassador to Russia at that time, came back and saw me, and he said, thank God you've had this success. He said, because the Russians have said to me that you have no culture in the United States. All you can do is produce cars. At the end, it was really quite extraordinary how these people, how music took care of all the hostility, which turned into human tears almost. They were coming to the stage and crying, you know. And I said to myself, they're crying because I think they found me to be a human being. You know, when the Russians like something, I mean, this was, I'm not joking now, a 30-minute ovation in Moscow.
He earned the title, I guess the State Department called him the first cultural ambassador. His trips to Russia did a lot of good. They were very effective. And as a sort of reward, the administration offered to stage a state dinner. While on tour, I think in Montreal, got a telegram from Mrs. Kennedy saying, we're really sorry, the dinner is off. It had to do with a little something called the Bay of Pigs.
I missed Cuba. I missed the people. Somehow I got feeling very close to them in my times going there. Something about the people. 40 years later, I get The Minister of Culture writes me, he said, "Dear Mr. Janis, we remember you so well. Would you think of coming down here and giving a recital?" Well, I was surprised, happy at the thought. I called our State Department to make sure it was all right. They said, "Please go."
This is 2020.
The first of these so-called ambassadors had a very special reason for wanting to go to Cuba. He is a world-famous classical pianist.
Welcome to Cuba.
Thank you very much. Just last March, he and his wife, Maria, traveled to Havana, Cuba, where Byron played 2 concerts after an absence of 42 years.
I did a master class there. One of the students who played for me was a young boy of 12 or something like that, and he played incredibly well. And I asked him about some other pieces. Did he play any Chopin or any... Oh, he said, "No, we don't have the music for that." So there they were in this conservatory having no music, and how sad it was. That year, in 1999, it was, I met the leading Cuban pianist, Frank Fernandez. I went to his house. He had a recording studio in his house. You know, he never came to America because he was not allowed.
Byron Janis performed in the 17th century Basilica of St. Francis in the heart of old Havana.
Towards the end of the concert, Byron brought out on stage and introduced the audience to a young man who had been a prize music student in Cuba, and they loved the fact that Byron had brought this young Cuban musician, this next generation of pianists. And it was a great success. Byron's connection to Cuba didn't end with that concert. I think from the moment he and Maria arrived, he connected with the people. Kids on the street would befriend Byron because they felt something was simpatico.
I was rehearsing in the church, and Maria and I came out of the church, and I see these children playing stickball. I gotta get involved here because I love baseball. It's my favorite sport. And so I said in my best Spanish, "Hey, could I play some with you?" "Sí, sí, seguro." Finally, I began hitting them 3 or so in a row, and I felt okay. But it was wonderful. I felt very much Cuban.
I know what Byron really wants to do is to try to help the musical life for the Cubans. He wants to really get in touch with the people who are now in charge of the conservatory to find out what is really needed, you know, be it music, be it reconstruction, be it new pianos.
So what I did was write something that reminded me of Cuba, a song. I called it A Song for Cuba.
He said, "I just composed it." He said, "This is my little homage to the spirit of the Cuban people."
And I put it away, and I said, "I'm going to come out with this song when Cuba is free."
We all know now the door that was locked shut has been opened in the current administration, and Byron played an enormous role in this.
I think the bottom line is that music is the universal language. Anyone in any country of any political persuasion responds to music. And Byron was that ambassador.
I feel that in music, they will find their freedom.